This is the Module 13 video. Check out the module introduction with me. It says that a while back you prepared a piece of response writing and presented it as a piece of new media. That's from Module 11 when you did the YouTube script or the blog post. And since then we have looked at traditional media sources typically found in newspapers and magazines and so forth. Make sure you read this whole introduction. The general gist, though, is that you're going to be writing a text for traditional print or online distribution. So whereas a few weeks ago you did the new media piece, now you're going to do a traditional media piece. You'll be composing a letter to the editor. That is a traditional media piece. So you're going to select an article that you will respond to. You'll find it's the same list that you had the opportunity to choose from when you did the new media response. You can do the same article if you want, or you can do a different one. It's up to you. The how to write a text response link is still there. That's one that you had done already before, but take a look with me at this writing letters to the editor link. And this one tells you how to go about writing a letter to an editor. It defines what a letter to the editor is, why people would write them, and what they're like. Okay? Now, one key thing that I should point out here is that it does say to keep your letter under 300 words. That was typical for writing an assignment that would be writing a letter that would be posted in a newspaper, because editors had very limited space, and even though they wanted to include a letter, they might have wanted several of them, and so they needed to be short. Your assignment length is a bit different, though. So even though this is the tip that is giving about letters to the editor in general in terms of their practical application, for the sake of the assignment, you're going to be doing a bit more intensive work, writing a bit longer, as I recall. Now, some things to point out to you on this site also include a checklist for understanding that you know these key details that's described in this website, and also some examples. So here are some examples of what writing to a letter to an editor looks like. There are things that you should note about this. They start with what's called the salutation. And it will say to the editor of the publication, or it might give the person's name if the editor's name is known, and then it's followed with this colon. Okay? Notice also that the text is single-spaced. You're going to single-space your text accordingly. That they're left-aligned, so there's no indent on that first line like we've been doing in MLA style. Again, you're writing in the structure and the format that is appropriate for your genre. In the traditional letter to an editor genre, you just left align that stuff. It ends with a sincerely and a signature block with, at the very least, your name. You can make up an address underneath if you want. That doesn't matter so much, but at the very least we should have a sincerely, and then it's not quite the same on this page because it's a website, but traditionally you type sincerely with a comma and then you hit enter 4 times. 4 times when it's single-spaced. You hit enter 4 times and then you do your name. Why 4 times? Because it used to be, that's something that's left over from, it's like a vestige of using a typewriter. We would type, well, I say we, I came up after typewriters, but they would write sincerely and then they would hit enter 4 times, print the name, type the name, and then the person would actually sign their name in that 4 space block. And so that's what you're going to do. You don't have to sign your name, but I mean you're going to do the 4 spaces and then your name. Okay. So here are some examples of what these look like. If I go back and take a look at the assignment description for Module 13 or Assignment 13-1, again, you're going to draft this traditional piece of response writing as a letter to the editor. So you're going to choose one of the pre-existing text below and respond to it. Again, that means you have to refer to those main ideas that are in the text and critique them or analyze them, evaluate their worth, and respond. Okay? You can, again, choose the same article that you did before. That might save you some time because you have some familiarity with that source already. So you must refer to the text according to the grading criteria. You're responding to it. Choose a handful of specific points and respond to those points. You're going to acknowledge sources in the way that is conventional for your traditional media format. So how was that done in a traditional letter to the editor? Well, it was done simply by referring to the previous text or the previous incident. In this case, you're just going to say, let's say that you choose the I'm an influencer and I think social media is toxic by Lydia Keating for Slate. You're just going to respond and say, or you're going to acknowledge Keating's ideas by saying, according to Keating, quote, blah, 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 period. Or Keating said, blah, 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 period, right? So that's all that's done to acknowledge sources in a letter to an editor. There's no in-text citations. There's no works cited entry. So if you've been struggling with that for a while, this might make things easier for you in this assignment. You don't have to do that because it's not there. That's MLA style. And remember, you're responding in the format that is appropriate for the genre. And so that means that you're just going to refer to the author's last name and the ideas that they use. This is going to be about 700 words and in the appropriate letter format. So everything left aligned, salutation at the beginning, single-spaced paragraphs, or single spacing for the lines, that sincerely at the end, hit enter 4 times, type your first and last name. Again, notice it's 700 words, not the 300 that was mentioned on the website, on the web page. Okay? If you have questions about this assignment, please let me know.